you've got the business model, it's working, you're growing, and you decide you need more resources. When did you bring on your first employee?
Look, I think within the first 6 months, David and I just worked flat out. I mean, we worked 7 days a week for 14 to 16 hours a day. Quite often, early, the days would be taken up with seeing car dealers and talking to people on the phone and trying to get as much awareness out there in the marketplace for the business. And at night time, we'd come back and because it was an unproven concept, we had to put the cars on ourselves, and there was a lot of data entry, so we were up to all hours putting data into the website.
Yeah.
So very early on in the first 6 months, we had a number of part-time students or part-time employees that came along and really just gave us a hand with the data entry. But look, it was probably 6 to 9 months into the business when we thought, well, this is growing along pretty well. We probably need an administration person full-time to answer phones, data entry, and help with those sorts of things. And more importantly, we needed someone to also assist in the sales. So we probably hired our first full-time salesperson 6 to 9 months into the business.
Okay. So just to clarify, and by the time you got out of the business, how many employees did you have?
Look, we had around 15 or 16 at the time that we exited the business.
Okay, so for our startup audience, I mean, new businesses started up, or they're a year or two old or 6 months old, and they're starting to get I guess enough work that they need to bring in resources and start hiring. A couple of things. What did you learn about the hiring process, and how do you select good employees? And I guess also what mistakes did you make that our audience can take advantage of your learning?
Look, I think the first thing to consider is that you've got to. One of the most important things about running a startup is you've got to understand and create the type of culture that you want within your business. I think probably the mistakes that we made along the way were, one of the biggest challenges was because the business was a rural and regional business. It was founded in Orange. Orange is a decent size, but you don't have a massive labour pool to choose from. So we found it quite tough to find the right types of people because we were creating quite a special business. It was quite tough to find the right types of people to fit into the culture and complete the tasks that we wanted. But I think the best advice is probably to understand the culture of your business, and also just be diligent to make sure that that the person that you're hiring is going to fit into the fabric of the business.
Yeah. Okay. That's simple advice, but also very useful. Makes sense. Yeah. Okay. So business is going well. You're starting to bring in these employees. You've got a revenue model that's working. The car dealerships are coming on and buyers are using it. When did you decide that you wanted to expand dramatically and raise capital for the business?
Look, at the point where we probably had 6 or 7, probably 8 regions across New South Wales, bordering into Victoria and Queensland. I mean, we soon realised that we had a good blueprint to roll out into more rural and regional areas of Australia, and we decided, well, we're starting to get some good tractions, traffic, listings, revenue. So we thought, well, at that point, let's give this a good crack and see if we can, get someone in behind us to help us, with some capital.
Yeah.
And just as equally important, we were seeking people or experts, to help us add value and provide support around marketing and financial support, areas that we hadn't had a great deal of experience with.
Okay. Yes. So how much revenue was the business making? I mean, either at that time or further down the track, just to give our audience a bit of an idea.
Look, I'd say probably at the point when we did our capital raising, we had a monthly turnover of somewhere between 50 and 80,000. And at its peak, when we exited the business, CountryCars was turning over 250,000 a month.
Okay, great. So back then, did you know anything about capital raising? What was the process you went through once you decided, hey, we want to raise capital? What did you go to?
But basically, the process from there was finding a suitable corporate advisor that could sort of help represent us. Build all the documentation behind the capital raising. Obviously, seek and source the investors, and really just, I mean, it was quite obviously a first-time experience for both David and I. So we were quite fortunate that we found a suitable person to to help us. But I guess it's a situation of doing your best to utilise your network of contacts to find a suitable person to represent you and take you through the process, because we obviously hadn't experienced it before, so it was quite a green experience for us.
So in terms of the choice to use a corporate advisor, was that because you didn't know so much about the process, or was it because you wanted to concentrate on your business and then let them do what they do?
Well, we were quite fortunate with CountryCars that at the point that we decided we wanted to raise capital, David said, "Well, look, I'll take that on board and I'll focus on that," which left me to making sure that day to day the business kept functioning and kept growing and that things didn't fall in a heap. So. I think we were quite fortunate from that perspective, and so the main reason that we sourced them outside help and a corporate advisor was basically to help us get in front of the right investors, raise the right amount of capital, and also give us the flexibility to be able to make sure that we keep running the business and focusing on what's important.
Okay, understood. So you went and raised $1 million.
Yep.
That's a nice round figure.
Yeah.
Why was it $1 million rather than 500,000 or 1.5 or any other amount?
Look, we came up with a number basically because at that point we presented to the investors, here's what we've achieved so far. This is obviously our financials. These are the markets that we've gone into quite successfully. Here's the other markets. So we pinpointed other markets around Australia and WA, South Australia, Queensland. That we felt like there was significant upside and some growth there for us, but basically we sat down, we did the numbers on what we thought it would cost or what we knew it would cost to move into an area, run the 2-month, 3-month free trials, get the marketing up and running into that particular area, and give ourselves enough time to progress the dealers through to a point where they then start paying for the service and we could break even in that particular region. So. Basically, after sitting down and working out the numbers, that's how we came up with the $1 million.
Okay.
And you also, want to make sure you've got a little bit there for contingency as well, just in case something goes wrong or you need a little bit of extra cash flow for another purpose.
Okay. Was it difficult to raise $1 million? How long did it take? How many pitches did you guys have to go through?
Look, it wasn't easy. I really don't think that raising capital is ever easy, but we were quite fortunate that we had the right advisors, the right corporate advisors. We had a good business model. Both David and I, reflected and it came across quite well to the investors. But I think the number one, or probably one of the most important facets of the entire process was that we had a proven business model and we had revenue and there was significant upside. So I think they were the most important credentials when it came to the capital raising.
Okay. So you raised the capital and you started to expand even more. Mm-hmm. What point was it that you decided that you wanted to go sell? Was that the plan from the beginning, or did you come across that as the business started to grow that you thought, hey, we've got a great opportunity, let's try and sell this thing?
Look, when we started it, it was a day-to-day, then a week-to-week, then a month-to-month proposition. So, especially in the first 12 to 18 months, we didn't really have a great deal of time to poke our head up and think about what might be possible down the track. Instead, we just focused on, making sure that we used to term it internally, we're running a marathon of 100-metre sprints every day. So, we kept the intensity up there and so it was never. I don't think it was ever the intention to, the sole intention to exit. But we were mindful that we were building something of value that someone down the track may want. The exit came about as not as a result of us chasing a buyer, but as a result of us managing to build the business to a point where we had between 400 and 500 car dealers advertising. We had 20 to 25,000 cars online, and we had a significant size business, and I think from that perspective, potential buyers just sort of started to tap us on the shoulder and were quite interested from there.
So you didn't. Other than running the business and doing what you needed to do, didn't sort of try and position the business particularly. You said they all came to you. You weren't sort of out there looking.
Well, we knew that major players. You know, when we built the business, we understood that, you know, if we could build something of some value, you know, that the likely exit would be a media company or another classified site, or, you know, or possibly even you know, a rural and regional television station. So we didn't go after them. We didn't go looking for them, but we were mindful of who they might be.
Yeah. Okay. So talk me through the actual sale. How did it all happen?
Well, it took quite a long process, and basically there was a lot of back and forth in terms of you know, the terms of the sales. They obviously wanted to do quite a bit of DD and have a look under the bonnet of the business and really understand what they were looking at buying. You know, at the end of the process, you know, they knew that they had something that was going to fit into their particular business model. It was just about whether the fundamentals were right, the numbers were right, you know, and you know, there weren't sort of any hidden nasties at the end there that they didn't know from a legal or, you know, financial perspective.
Yeah. Okay. So I know you can't talk about how much you actually sold the business for. Obviously enough to set yourself up as angel investors at Greenlight Digital. I guess what I will say for our audience, it was a multi-million-dollar exit.
Yeah, we did reasonably well out of it. But I mean, obviously, you know, like all entrepreneurs, it comes at a cost, and, you know, the cost was, you know, obviously 3 to 4 years of quite intense and hard work, and you know, we were significantly rewarded at the end of it.
Yeah, nice. So you had an 18-month earn-out period. What was that like?
Look, the earn-out was quite interesting. It took David and I both, you know, into a world that we you know, obviously hadn't had any experience in. We'd gone from, you know, a scenario where we were running our own business, we had complete control of what was going on in the four walls of CountryCars, to a scenario where we really didn't own the business anymore. You know, we had monthly board meetings or advisory board meetings that we had to attend with, you know, with Fairfax, and you know, we were now accountable for hitting targets, financial and also, you know, physical site targets. So you know, things changed quite dramatically for us.
Okay. I've heard earn-out periods can sometimes be a real pain. Sometimes the entrepreneurs over the business, and, you know, they just want to get out and move on. Was it like that a little bit for you, or
Look, no, it wasn't really. I mean, I think you know, we were quite fortunate in a number of facets. Our earn-out was ending just when the GFC was starting, so you know, we had quite a concerted effort into the last 6 months to make sure that you know, that we still achieved a significant earn-out, and it was, you know, it was worth our while. But look, I think it's important that you know, I think it's important for buyer and seller alike that if an earn-out is in place, that you know, that it rewards and provides benefits for both parties. So obviously the buyer wants to make sure that they're, you know, getting a business that's going to continue to grow, and, and they're not left with something that's going to, you know, fall into a heap. And obviously, you know, if you're the seller or the entrepreneur, you want to make sure that, you know, if you're going to give up another 12 or 18 or two years of your time, that, you know, there's significant upside for you to stay there. So it was quite challenging, and it was a great new experience, and we, you know, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. You know, it you know, it definitely wasn't a negative experience. You know, and yeah, it obviously resulted in us, you know, achieving you know, a little bit more of a financial reward at the end of the experience.
Okay, great.